so let's go ahead and take a look at Roadmap Roundup. I also have the progress tracker up so we can take a look at when some of those things are coming in. There was also a second post, Public Roadmap Companion, as well. I think it's just a bit more to explain how it works, like what upstream teams are, downstream teams, things like that. So we'll take a look at that first, and then we'll go into Roadmap Roundup, actually. All right. All right, so here we go. So this is the Roadmap Companion. So Star Citizen Squadron 42 Roadmap is designed to give you an unprecedented look into the game development process by following every feature being worked on by our 50-plus development teams. All right. So the progress tracker, I mean, I'm probably going to briefly go through this. So, like, what is a deliverable? Deliverable is, you know, something like healing tier 0. It's all in the details. So you can sort between two major views when browsing progress tracker. First, you could sort by teams, and then the other one is deliverable. I usually look at deliverables instead of teams, but then you could see what teams work on that deliverable in that section there. Additional navigation, you could filter and stuff like that, right? Upstream and downstream, I think that's the important thing. Upstream teams are like the actor feature team and the sandbox team, Fire Sprite, tools, Planet Tech, things like that. Downstream teams are like the engine team, editor, gameplay story, lighting, physics, like props, the things that are the last thing that need to get done before the item comes into the game. So when the downstream teams have the feature that you like, that means it's getting close. That's basically how it works. And then release view is the thing that they nerfed, basically, and everybody was upset about. And feature cards are added to release view near the start of a quarter. Once they've been completed for release and the QA process, begins. These new cards will be marked as tentative, meaning the goal to release in the next quarterly patch, but the feature is not yet past its final review. And then it'll be committed when it's no longer tentative. All right. So that's like just the process of the roadmap in case you guys didn't know. But let's go ahead into actual roadmap roundup here. Notable changes for February 16th, 2022. Release view. Now, this thing is something that I gave feedback on. I don't know if it's me that changed this specifically or if there were more than just me that gave this feedback. But salvage being called hull stripping is something that I thought was really important because salvage is a way grander feature than just hull stripping. But when they call it salvage on the roadmap, it is definitely being used in that marketing way to get you excited about salvage. The item that's coming in 3.18 is not salvage. It's hull stripping. That's all it is. It's very much the hull stripping and the use of repairing as well. So it is not what I would determine as salvage. Like mining, when it came in, it was, you mine a rock and you sell it. It was very much what you can do with mining. It wasn't super feature complete, but it was mining. Salvage is not salvage yet until you're taking components out of a ship, looting the cargo, like all those things, right? That's salvage to me. So I said, hey, maybe you should change the name or make it very clear that it is just hull stripping. Instead of in the description, it should be in the title as well. And they seem to take that feedback and roll with it a little bit. So they are kind of changing the name there, and I like that. So that's good. The following deliverables have passed their final review for 3.17. So mining gadgets, ship-to-ship refueling, big one. Selling items to shops, another big one. The Hurston Hospital is the one I hate the most because I spawn at Hurston because you're able to spawn at the station above instead of at Hurston. But I guess I'll choose a new spot now. Coffee shop vendor and DNA head texture. So 3.17, very small update. But again, these two in particular, ship-to-ship refueling and items selling to shops, I think are puzzle pieces that will make Star Citizen the game better in the future. But I don't think they're going to hit like and be a major feature that we're super, super excited about in the next patch. You're hopefully, what I hope out of it is that we can see the potential of the game rather than it be just like really, really bad like some other things have been. But yeah, we'll have to see. I'm kind of staying calm about that one. I'm not excited about mining gadgets at all. I think mining gadgets are still one of the worst things that they're doing. But at the same time, I have had experiences where I think they changed the rocks a little bit to make it even harder to solo. So mining gadgets may be something that I bring along when I go mining, but just to make things easier. But we'll have to see. I am looking forward to redoing my mining guide. Tell you what, because we're going to have to now with mining gadgets coming in. The following deliverable is added to the 3.17 release window. So they're just making more variations to the clinics because they are basically the exact same loadout. So that's whatever. Just more life to everything. So this is the progress tracker. So the following deliverable has been added to the progress tracker. This is zone handling, back-end stuff, entity properties plugin, more things that are looking. These two things look like they're kind of server meshing, that kind of stuff involved there. Distortion propagation. This is one that I saw some people upset with, and I think they're right, but wrong at the same time. So further work on this damage type to allow the correct propagation into systems. This makes the location of impact much more important, as powered items closer to the impact will begin to suffer more severely. This will fulfill the original vision we had for distortion weapons we already have in game, and those we have planned in the future. This deliverable has been added to the weapon feature team's schedule. I like that. This all makes sense to me. The issue is if you've seen the gold standard reworks for both the Gladius and the Saber, I think those are the only two gold standard chips we have currently. All of the components are in one place. They're like a pocket right there. So you can't possibly miss them. If you're, well, you can miss them, but if you hit the area, you hit all of them, right? And I get it. It's a light fighter. They don't have a lot of room for those things. And I can see why people would be upset, because if you look at Star Citizen in the little box that it is right now, everybody just flies light fighters for the most part. Most people aren't flying medium and heavy or really large and capital ships, right? So the idea of this being really broken when it first comes in, because the rest of the game is broken, because there's no point in flying medium and heavy fighters, or at least less of a point, that there's going to be a lot of issues with distortion propagation. Now, before we freak out about that, let's look up distortion propagation, right? Distortion. There we go. So that's not until Q4 2022. That when they add things to the progress tracker, it's usually not until way later. So that gives basically an entire year for the vehicle experience team to improve a lot of the issues with the current vehicle experience. If you look at the game in just the current vehicle experience, I don't think this is a very good update. But if you look at the game in what it will hopefully be, maybe they can fix the issues where we're not just flying these small ships. And maybe small ships should be more susceptible to something like distortion. I don't know, right? But I think we just have to make sure we look at the bigger picture here, and in some cases, than just two ships. But I also do agree we should maybe move some of the components around to make it less sufferable to distortion. But we'll have to see. Physics rope simulation. I think if you look back to the Carrick commercial, you would have seen there be some spelunking. Even more so if you watched the Yacht Club podcast right after the Carrick commercial came out. Captain Zyla was on that show, and he really sounded like he had heard something internally and felt like putting something out there to the community, and mentioned spelunking as something that could possibly be coming. So I think this was something on their mind for a while, and it finally got scheduled, perhaps. I don't know. This could also be tied to, I think a lot of people saw the tying of the hands behind your back icon, things like that, right? Underground facilities, adding new underground facilities to the game, traversable areas, offering gameplay opportunities in corporate and industrial environments. So these looked like they were above ground and not underground. So, but again, this is really only being delivered to the concept art team schedule, and we could take a look at where that one is. Wait, what was it called? Sorry, let me go back. Underground facilities. And that's being worked on now, as we saw in the sprint report, right? So those seem to be above ground, but yeah, I guess there's going to be some sort of gameplay related to those corporate facility things. Then another one, satellite points of interest. Populate the game universe with explorable satellite locations that serve as points of interest for players. I don't know what we would do here. I don't know if these are updated comm arrays of some kind. But again, more concept art and not actual being integrated into the game yet. Lorville Cityscape, another concept art thing. I think we can all agree that Lorville can probably use an update. And Comeral's going to be finally a little bit less loud because room depressurization. He's been like on them for not delivering this forever because they had shown some concepts of it for years and years ago, but never integrated into the game. It is now scheduled for the EUPU gameplay feature team. So these are a team that's not concepting things. This is the team that actually delivers the tools for gameplay for designers and stuff like that. So again, let's take a look at where that is on this progress tracker. What was that? Room pressurization. There you go. So where does that fall? Q3 2022 through Q4. So full 2 quarters of work is scheduled out for it. 25 weeks it looks like, and yeah, we'll see what happens with that. That's a definite game changer when it comes to whether or not you need a certain helmet type, all those things, right? Cave archetypes. Expanding the experience of traversing caves by creating more variety and developing new challenges. The setups of caves will also make it more efficient use of the creation of future caves. I think caves were cool, but they really haven't seen their true potential yet. I think the drive-in caves and the flying caves were terrible, man. Yeah, you drive in for like 5 meters, but that's it. So there's a lot of things I'd like to see change with caves. We can take a look at where that is as well. The issue that I have here is you have to remember that these don't mean that that's when it's going to be in game, right? I mean, they've been working on... Holy, they just have been working on that for a long time, apparently. There's also cave improvements, but I think that finished already. So that's going to be a while. Let's not pay too much attention to that. Tumber Ranger and RSI Apollo. Again, vehicle content team there and vehicle experience team. So the wheeled vehicle, that definitely meant that the Ranger was coming in. So all that's pretty interesting. I think for me, I think it's really nice to see that selling and ship-to-ship refueling did pass. And it looks, again, more like server meshing, networky type things to improve the game are being added to people's schedules. And yeah, just the underground facilities, a little update on that. It's exciting. This isn't a terrible roadmap roundup. It seems to be a really good way of communicating. I don't know if they ever did this before. I don't remember it, but saying that it's been added to a certain team's schedule is something that I think is important. So when you see concept, you're like, oh, okay, you know, let's push that one aside. It's just concepts. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting update. I think we'll see if there are changes to the release view and things like that are working probably like 6 months to a year from now. But so far, so good. A lot of things being added and not a lot of things being pulled away in this one, right? So it's hard to say if it's working when you're really close to a release of a quarter. It'll be a lot easier to see if it's working for when they delay things. And when we see things not make it on a schedule or get removed from the schedule, let's see how the community reacts to those things. Because here's the issue that I have with the current changes. Is I'm already seeing players, even myself, immediately going to the progress tracker and going, okay, when does the line end? Right? And that's just not how it works, unfortunately. So it's, I don't think it's going to work in the way that CIG hopes it does. I think people are going to get even more confused now, but it is what it is. I just hope that at the very least, the idea of the delivering one quarter at a time as far as the release view will just kind of calm people's expectations just a little bit more. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe, all that stuff.